Second week in a row, I forgot to unmute my mic. See, I'm slipping, Kyle. I'm slipping.
Unreal.
Welcome.
I was confused. I was totally confused for a second. I thought we were still off the air. And
Second week in a row. Welcome to Fantasy Gainz. I am Squish. That is Kyle, presented by SuperDraft DFS. And Kyle, fresh off of a World Series victory for the Dodgers, where analytics was the key topic last night. And you're the analytics guy here. I'm the analytics guy here.
Oh,
so
really?
I'm going to go analytics 1, analytics 0.
That's correct. It's kind of funny that you put it that way because you were full on standing analytics before.
I wasn't,
this,
I wasn't full on analytics. You're right, but only thing that matters is what's on record, and it's this.
Yeah, exactly. So you're covering your ass right now for the pre-show conversations, which is fine.
You have to control the narrative.
Yeah, you got to do what you got to do. I understand, but yeah, Kevin Cash, bad decision by him, cost the Rays the World Series. But this is not a baseball show. This is a football.
He cost him Game 6. But the World Series, we're not going to get down that road because we could have a 2-hour show about that.
Exactly.
Anyways, a quick look back before we get into this week's NFL plays. A quick look back. We were pretty good last week. Not great.
Okay.
Not awful. We were pretty good. My must start, T. Higgins at 1.6x, 26.08 fantasy points. He was in, I believe, the winning lineup for the red zone last week. All of those Cincinnati receivers and skill position players with Joe Burrow, Tyler Boyd, all did great last week. In my stack, Watson, Aaron Jones, we're going to put Jamal Williams in that parentheses because we're taking credit for that. We're taking credit for that play.
To jump in real fast, I mean, we did not know that Aaron Jones was not going to play last week.
But we're taking credit.
Yeah, I'm taking credit too.
Yeah, we're taking credit because we talked about how they're going to want to run the ball after the week's previous performance against Tampa Bay. They're going to want to really run the ball, play action. Jamal Williams did great, so we're taking credit, and Will Fuller there as well. A garbage time touchdown really helped that one. And you did pretty well last week too. And yes, you are taking credit for the Aaron Jones, Jamal Williams play, aren't you?
For sure. Yeah. I mean, I did not have the cojones to take him in Gold Club, unfortunately.
Still did better than I did.
Yeah, you did. I'm proud of you.
But you still did better than I did.
I know. That's because I had the Tyler Lockett explosion with the 200 yards, 3 touchdowns. But yeah, I think I still like Jamal Williams. I didn't put him in my lineup, but I still think he obviously was a really good play in Aaron Jones' place against that absolutely horrendous run defense for the Texans. And last week, and then also the stack. So, Stafford played well in that game, had that late game-winning touchdown after the unbelievably crazy play where Todd Gurley accidentally scores the touchdown. I still can't believe that happened. And that touchdown helped out the stack. I mean, it gave him some more fantasy points. So at least that was good for us. And then Kenny Galladay had some huge, crazy catches in that game. So yeah, that was pretty easy to see with the defenses and they held them a little bit with the points, but Stafford still got a lot of yards. Gurley did too. So yeah, not bad.
Not bad. Yeah, we were both saved by our stacks by garbage time touchdowns. Will Fuller for me, and that second one from Todd Gurley from you. And it just flashes me back to when he just fell in the red zone or at the 1-yard line a few years ago, not caring that a bunch of people had the over or the spread and cost a bunch of people some money. So I'm just glad Todd Gurley didn't get to do it to us twice.
Yeah, that was it was funny that he's had these moments before. And I think this is the second time where you mentioned one of them, but I think there was 2 times on the Rams where he fell short of the end zone and everyone just absolutely lost their minds because he cost fantasy points, overs, you name it, everything. And then this time the opposite happens and his team loses. So
that's how you can't trust a cat owner. He owns cats. Get him out of here.
Totally agree. Yeah,
I love cats too.
Agree.
All right.
Yeah, cats are not the best. But Yeah, Todd kind of got his pay. It came back to him there when he accidentally scored the touchdown. But yeah, so
week 8. Week 8's upon us.
Week 8's upon us.
Looking forward. We don't have to worry about garbage time touchdowns yet. I'm sure we will. Kyle, you're must start, and let's just hope this guy doesn't get scratched before Sunday.
I know, yeah. Hopefully that doesn't happen again, where we have to put Jamal. We'll put him in, parentheses in our graphics here. But so for this week, I'm going with the number one receiver for the Cincinnati Bengals, and that is Tyler Boyd, who has taken advantage of how great Joe Burrow has been this year. I mean, Burrow has really been fantastic, despite only the Bengals having one win. And last week, in the loss to the Browns, Boyd had 11 catches, 110 yards, and a touchdown. He has been really consistent the entire way, more consistent than T. Higgins, who has been really good as well.
Mm-hmm.
AJ Green, who was really bad the first few weeks, has come on a little bit the last 2, but Boyd has been the more consistent guy. Only 2 games under 10 fantasy points. And he's still at a 1.45x, which that's a really good number for a number one receiver.
For an offense that's going to throw the ball all around the field.
Exactly. And Joe Mixon, we're still not sure if he's going to be playing this week. Giovanni Bernard played last week. And they're facing off against the Titans, who, they've had a good start to the season, but they've gotten thrown on pretty much every week. This year, Roethlisberger did this past week to Juju Smith-Schuster. And they've given up the 4th most fantasy points allowed to opposing receivers. So I think this is another game where Tyler Boyd is gonna have another big game. And I really like him at that 1.45x number. And game script as well. I think, this is going to be a shootout type of game. The Bengals defense obviously is not good either. So I think Tannehill is going to be able to put some points on the board, so Burrow's going to have to keep up, and he'll be targeting Tyler Boyd to do so. So that's who I like for this week.
I love it. I have him in season long, and he's really kept me afloat because my team where he's on really kind of stinks, and he's kept me afloat. Done a lot this year. My must start is on the Browns, and you were upset that I took your must start from you. But I'm going with Kareem Hunt. Not going to condone what he does in his free time. Just hands up. I will not do that. Not condoning, but you should definitely start him this week. His last 3, only 84 total yards per game, 2 total touchdowns, both through the air. But that 1.3x multiplier for a guy who's averaged 20 touches over his past 3 weeks, give it to me. Give it to me. 20 touches, air and ground combined in his last 3 averaged. I love Kareem Hunt here. Vegas struggles against running backs in general. They're letting up almost 100 yards on the ground per game, almost 7 receptions, over 60 yards per game through the air to running backs, 9 total touchdowns to running backs this season. And here's the kicker. The Raiders have struggled with dual threat running backs, guys who can take it through the backfield or carry the ball and catch the ball out of the backfield. Christian McCaffrey, Alvin Kamara, and Rex Burkhead. Obviously, Burkhead not as great as the other 2, but you can agree that they
one is not
have
like
a mix.
The other there.
One is not like the other, but oh boy, did he have a day! And he has skills out of the backfield catching passes. Those 3 guys combined to average 135 total yards on 20 touches in the games against the Vegas defense. 7 total touchdowns. Those 3 running backs combined for. They struggle against guys like this. I want Kareem Hunt in all my lineups.
I 100% agree with you. I was going to, as you said before, I was going to choose him, and then you just, out of thin air, just stole him away from me. Because, I mean, on this show, we don't want to have us doing the same thing, so we don't want to repeat ourselves. So, you took away my guys. I 100% agree. But one other thing to add in there is Odell Beckham had a torn ACL this past week.
Yep.
And so Kareem Hunt has gone from maybe the 4th option in the offense, for Baker Mayfield to go to probably the number 1 guy right now. With Chubb hurt, Beckham is hurt, Landry hasn't had as good of a year as you would expect. So Chubb is going to be
not Chubb.
He's going to be
Hunt.
Hunt. Yes, exactly. Sorry. Hunt's going to be the guy this week. So I like it.
Yeah, he wouldn't be a long shot. I'd say he's pretty much a sure thing. Kyle,
For
your long
sure
shot
not.
this week.
Yeah, so the long shot, this is kind of similar to what you were saying last week, where, Justin Jackson is kind of cheating a little bit with the long shots. I think Brandon Ayuk, receiver for the 49ers, is kind of in the same boat here. Like, with the injuries that the 49ers have at wide receiver, like, he's now going to be the number one wide receiver for the 49ers. And we saw what he did last week against the New England Patriots, who are just, they're a whole different story that I don't want to get into at the moment. So Ayuk had 6 catches for 115 yards, 1 touchdown, 16.5 fantasy points against the Patriots. And, this has not been something that wasn't just like an aberration. He's averaged 11.4 all year. And now Deebo Samuel got hurt in that Patriots game. So he's now the clear number one option for them. And Garoppolo looked pretty good in the Patriots game. He looked good in the game before against the Rams. So I think, he's getting back to the form that he was at last year. And they're facing against the Seattle Seahawks defense, who are, everyone knows that Seattle just get lit up by receivers. They've been by far the worst team in the league at covering opposing receivers. We saw it this past week. Kyler Murray torched them. DeAndre Hopkins put up huge numbers. And I mean, that's happened every week. I mean, the Cowboys, you go back to the Cowboys game, CeeDee Lamb, Amari Cooper, like, just go down the line. Every game they've been giving up big numbers to receivers. And I don't see why Brandon Ayuk can't do the same thing this week. And at 1.7, I think that's tremendous value for a guy who is going to be getting, the amount of reps that he's getting. So again, it doesn't feel like a long shot per se, because it kind of feels like it's not a lock, but it feels pretty comfortable that he's going to put up good numbers. But, 1.7 range is kind of where you're looking at for, long shot guys. So I think he kind of qualifies in this spot. So I would definitely be playing Brandon Ayuk this week.
I would agree too. And with the injuries to all the running backs, how Shanahan likes to use Ayuk and Deebo in those roles out of the backfield, getting it in space. The amount of times I heard Tony Romo say, look, they're going to get the edge here in that game against New England last weekend, it was infuriating. I was on edge, all right, because of how many times he talked about the 49ers getting the ball in space around the edge. I don't want to even talk about it anymore. Great play, Kyle.
Well, when the Patriots linebackers are that abysmal, it's hard not to talk about it.
I don't want to talk about the edge, all right? I don't want to talk about the edge. I'd rather talk about my long shot, Nelson Aguilar, who's carved himself out a pretty good role here in Las Vegas after not being able to catch a ball or make any plays for Philadelphia for a few years. Nelson Aguilar, his last 3, averaging 3.7 catches on 5 targets, just under 73 yards and a touchdown per game. He scored each in his last 3. He's averaging just over 28 fantasy points with his multiplier in that time. And the Browns, we saw what happened last week against Cincinnati. They're getting torched week in and week out. Their secondary, 11 touchdowns to opposing wide receivers throughout the whole season. Last week, 25 catches the Bengals receivers had for 308 yards and 2 touchdowns. And this is a theme here because I had Kareem Hunt on the Browns. They're facing off against the Raiders. It's a little tease for the stack later, but I love this game. This game's going to be a shootout. Plenty of points to go around.
Absolutely. And, Nelson Aguilar I feel like he gets a little bit too much heat for his time
Philly
in Philadelphia.
Fan base. Philadelphia will do that to you.
Like, people just forget how good he was in the Super Bowl. Granted, he was facing a Matt Patricia coached Patriots defense that was made out of Swiss cheese. But anyway,
don't forget Malcolm Butler didn't play in that game.
And Malcolm Butler was not playing in that game, so he was guarded by
Well, you don't like Eric Rowe? You don't like Eric Rowe?
Eric Rowe or whoever else was trying to.
The Utah Utes finest, Eric Rowe.
Yeah, God, and he was a former Eagle, so who knows? There could have been some chicanery going on in there, but Nelson Aguilar gets a little bit too much heat for that. So I think he's been a solid receiver, and 1.8. Yeah, I like it a lot.
The guy who scored each of in his last 3. I'm going to take it. Expecting a lot of points in that game. All right, Kyle, who were you fading?
So we're gonna address the Patriots now, and I'm gonna go with my fade, Cam Newton, who you've been teasing and trolling me a lot by saying, Brian Hoyer is a better option and all this nonsense. And these last 3 games that he's played, you're probably not wrong. I mean, in the last 3 games, he's had 417 total yards. That's not passing yards, that's total yards. And 1 touchdown, 6 interceptions, 11.66 fantasy points from Cam Newton. I mean, like, that should be, if you were taking that into account, his multiplier should probably be like 2.5. That's not even possible. We're not even allowed to go to that number. But if he was at
unless it's single game.
Unless it's single game, correct. But he's in the main slate here, so it's only going to go up to 2x. And I think with the way he's played, I would not even take him at that number.
At 2.5.
It's been so bad to watch. Like, he was really good in those first 2 games, but he's completely fallen apart since then. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's injuries. I don't know if it's COVID. I don't know what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't have great weapons alongside him. I mean, Damiere Byrd is no great third receiver. Julian Edelman looks completely disinterested to be playing out there right now. He looks like he wants to be in Tampa Bay. And like, who else do we even got? I mean, it's ridiculous. The rookie tight ends can't even get on the field. So it's just the offense is not fit for Cam Newton to put up big yards. And at 1.3, it's not worth it. It's not worth any risk at all. I wouldn't, like, again, I was exaggerating a little bit when I said 2.5, but like, if he was at 2x, I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
1.3, there's like no doubt. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if one person did not play. I'd be shocked if one person did play Cam Newton this week, and I would question their mental state if they did.
Okay.
And so I'm big on fading Cam Newton this week. Maybe the Bills just fall apart like they usually do against the Patriots. Sean McDermott, usually craps himself when he faces Belichick. So maybe that happens. But, I at 1.3, I just can't play him. So.
All right. In my fade, I'm staying in that game. I'm fading STEFON Diggs on the other side at 1.4x. The Patriots have looked poor against some wide receiver cores this season. Mainly that Seattle game. They got torched. Last week, they also got torched. But like we talked about, they were getting their receivers on the edge. They were little swing passes. Buffalo is not that innovative of an offense. They're not going to, like you said, Sean McDermott, I don't think he's going to be that smart enough to take that game plan that Kyle Shanahan put together. He also doesn't really have the personnel. I don't think that's going to happen because New England's pissed. Bill's pissed, right? After the showing they put up last week, 33-6, division opponent or division rival, their first in the division. He needs a win here. They need a win big time, and shutting out STEFON Diggs is going to be one of his top priorities.
I agree. I agree with that a little bit. It's just like Stephon Gilmore has not been his normal self this year, or he's not been as good as he was last year. So I think that's a little bit of a concern. And I don't know, Diggs has been really good this year at 1.4.
Yeah,
like
that's why I'm going out on a limb here. We ain't saying fade Cam Newton. We're saying fade a number 1 wide receiver against the defense.
That is true.
That's all I'm saying. We're going out on limbs. We don't take gimmies. We work for it.
Well, I mean,
like you said, we take our cojones and we put them on the table. You hear that? Those are the cojones on the table. And we're fading STEFON Diggs.
Yeah, I don't know. Stephon Gilmore has been a little shaky. Jonathan Jones a little bit shaky. So I don't know if I agree with you on that one. I wouldn't be surprised if Diggs has a big game this week.
All right, so let's make a bet here.
Okay, let's go. I'm ready.
I'm going to take under 20 fantasy points with his multiplier.
Okay.
And I'm going to put 25 scuttles on it. $25 over under 20 with his multiplier.
with his multiplier. Let's go over. I'll say over 18. Can we
I'll do 18 and a half.
18. Fine. Let's go. 18 and a half.
18 and a half.
Absolutely. Right. We have each other's Venmos. $5.
5? I was going to say 25.
Okay, fine. 25.
25.
Yeah. Cool.
All right.
We're good.
Good.
This is good. We don't really disagree much on the show, and we did here, so there we go. It's a nice way to disagree. Throw out a bet against each other.
All right, let's have a loser leaves town. Loser is off the show.
Ooh.
Not gonna do that. Not gonna do that. Just give us your stack, Kyle.
Well, if you left, I would have left too. But so anyway, my stack is going to be kind of similar to what I was saying about my full slate must start. Is Tyler Boyd is involved in this one too. I was talking before how about this is going to be a little bit of a shootout between the Bengals and the Titans. And so I think Joe Burrow, I still think he was 1.6 last week. He's moved down to 1.5 this week. I still think he's being a little bit undervalued there. Mm-hmm. And I think he's going to be able to put the ball, especially with the receivers he has. T. Higgins is playing well, as you hit on last week. And as I said before, AJ Green, I dumped all over him in one of our previous shows, but he's actually come on these last few weeks. So he's got 3 legitimate options to throw to. So I think Burrow's going to be able to put up some numbers there. Derrick Henry is, he's Derrick Henry. He's going to be able to get his points even at 1x. AJ Brown, after coming back from injury, has looked fantastic.
Yep.
He's been fantastic the last 2 weeks for Tennessee. And 1.4 is, I was considering him for a full slate must start as well. Yep. So I think that would be great. And as I mentioned, Tyler Boyd for the full slate must start. So I think that's going to be, if you're looking to stack, I think that's a great game with the amount of options you have there. And I wouldn't even be opposed to Tannehill either.
Yeah.
Tannehill's not multipliers and as juicy as Burrow's is, but
both guys can score with their legs too. They can move.
Absolutely.
Yep.
So yeah, I think I would feel very comfortable with that one. So who do you got?
Yeah, I teased it earlier. I love the Browns-Raiders game. Allegedly going to be all over this over. There's going to be plenty of points in this game. Derek Carr at 1.45x feels like a steal. His last 3, 70% completion percentage, 7-2 touchdown ratio, 314 yards per game. Passing, we talked about Kareem Hunt, what he can do for you. Darren Waller at 1.2x, his last 3, 9 targets, just under 7 catches per game, 62 yards, 2 touchdowns in those 3 games. Cleveland, we've talked about it. Darren Waller's not your average tight end. He's not. He's a different breed. Runs like a gazelle. He's going to get his. And even I like, and we're going to put this on here. We can't put it on there now, but we're adding Nelson Aguilar to that too at 1.8x. There's a lot of guys you can get in this game. Even Jarvis Landry at 1.35 with Odell out. Harrison Bryant, that tight end who had 2 touchdowns last week for Cleveland. He's at 2x, and Njoku even at 1.75. And Henry Ruggs. Rashard Higgins as well. He's coming on pretty good.
Yeah, he had the best fantasy point numbers for the Browns receivers last week. So I'd like him.
There's going to be plenty of points to go around in this game. If you're going to have multiple lineups, stack this every which way you can. Running backs, receivers, tight ends, both quarterbacks. I love it.
I do too. I mean, enough said. You nailed it.
Enough said. Do a little mic drop. I'm not going to drop my mic because.
Yeah, I'm like a little conscious of time. Like I don't know. We have 1 minute, right?
We have. The wheels are turning for Kyle. All right, we're going to cut this a little short by about like 20 seconds. Thank you. And don't forget, Red Zone contest, 100,000 guaranteed total prizes on Sunday.
And follow us on Instagram.
And follow. We're not talking about luchadors. We're not. Follow us on Instagram. Follow us on Twitter, wherever you can. Oh, we might be going on Instagram. Instagram Live on tomorrow. We might be. You just teased it. All right, let's wrap it up. Fantasy Gainz. That's Kyle. This is Squish. I thought we scrapped that, but we might have to not scrap that now.
We might. I said might.
All right. We'll see you guys later. Kyle. Come on.